Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So this past weekend I had the chance to exhibit my Lexi Eclectic projects at Open Source. Open Source is an expo in San Francisco all about makers, science, and technology. This year's event was held in the very historic Cow Palace, the very place where Keith Moon passed out and members from The Who had to ask someone from the audience to play drums for them. So many other significant events happened at the Cow Palace, so I really recommend that you read the Wikipedia article about it. Open Source's founder, William Osman, describes open source as a giant science fair, which I think is a really good description for the experience that you get when you go to open source. So the vast majority of exhibits are makers, hobbyists, and enthusiasts such as myself that have interesting and niche projects that they'd like to share. There were also an astounding number of notable YouTubers that William was able to get to attend the event. So my husband Chris was the one who told me about open source and encouraged me to apply for an exhibit. So I honestly didn't think that I would get in because I thought my projects were too simplistic, and I kind of looked at the other projects and felt very intimidated by how brainy and complicated their designs and ideas were. I'm glad he talked me into it though. And shortly after applying, I received an email saying that I'd been accepted. A really neat thing that they provided us with was a mocked-up image of what the exhibit will look like before you decorate it, as well as examples of what exhibits looked like last year. I used the image and the provided measurements to create a 3D model of my booth in Fusion 360. It was super easy to import my already 3D modeled projects into the scene and place them wherever I wanted. I then made renderings of my mocked-up booth that I took along with me on the days when I set up my booth. So the first thing that I noticed when I got into the building is how much it smelled like cow. Which makes complete sense because it used to be used as a place where they auctioned off cows, and it's still used as a venue for rodeos. I was really happy with how my booth turned out. I was especially proud of my banner. Chris was there to support and man the booth with me. Here is a description of some of the projects that I exhibited and how people reacted to them. Modular magnetic circuit blocks that would light up an LED and power a motor when the circuit was connected. This was by far the most popular project with the kids. I saw quite a few parents pry their kids away from constantly playing with this. And I really didn't mind. I thought it was freaking adorable. And a similar project that was two heart pieces that when connected would light up. It was very gratifying to see the surprise and delight on people's faces as they connected the two hearts and saw the lights turn on. My squeezy portable citrus juicer. Chris had the genius idea of putting a label on the squeezy that said, "Feed me an orange." Quite a few people asked me, how do I feed it an orange? which was a really nice segue into me demonstrating how it juices an actual orange. My fly testing tank that helps me visualize how my fly fishing fly will look in the water. It really cracked me up that a lot of people thought that the fly was an actual fish at first, and someone even walked past and asked, "Is that a robot fish?" My two booth neighbors were really cool people. My neighbors behind me had a space where you could build your very own robot keychain using their resin 3D printed parts. They were sweet enough to give me a bag with parts to make my own at home while we were packing up to leave. My other neighbor had a booth showcasing huge 3D prints of Among Us characters, Pikachu, Boba Cat, and the open source robot. Apart from my neighbors, a bunch of exhibits that really stood out to me were the guy who built a very realistic replica of the world's biggest Mac Plus. Track Stacker Toys. They showcased modular 3D printed magnetic pieces that allow you to build a marble track on the side of your fridge. Atto Parsec. He was also showcasing projects that he made for YouTube. His projects are mostly complicated mechanical devices and cool kinetic art. Leszczynski Designs. He had some really neat mechanical projects such as a chessboard that sets itself and a dart gun. Here are my personal highlights from the event. The Primogen asked if he could film me cranking my flag waving device so that he could show it to his son, who loves stuff like that. Prusa Research, the famous 3D printing company, was a sponsor and had a booth a few rows away from where I was exhibiting. A few people from the Prusa booth came to say hi and compliment me on the pixel art I made of my MK3 that's featured in the middle of my banner. The most notable of people that came to say hi from the Prusa booth was Joseph Prusa himself. He came to say kudos for the pixel art, complimented me on my projects, and gave me a handshake. I felt like such a geek. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm a huge fan and thank you. But Chris said I played it pretty cool. And to top it all off, the guys from Prusa gave me a free roll of orange filament that I may or may never use because now it's like a sentimental piece of memorabilia from that day. I may even frame it, who knows. So while I was gone, Chris told me that Blender Guru came to my booth and complimented my work as well. And unfortunately, I missed it. So overall, I had an amazing time at Open Source. I found that being an exhibitor was a lot more fun and meaningful to me than just simply attending the event. It gave me a chance to really get to know some of the exhibits, and I felt like I was part of something really cool. I felt like for the most part everyone was really excited to share and educate me about their cool projects. The atmosphere at the event was very open and friendly, and I left feeling a sense of childlike wonder and excitement. So the team at Open Source announced that there would be an Open Source 2025, so you better believe that I'm gonna be there. Anyway guys, I just wanted to share my open source experience with you, and hopefully it inspires you to attend the next event. Please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!